My daughter admitted me to a nursing home without telling me. A month later, she found out that I should have seen the signs. The visits started to dwindle. Before, my daughter used to come on Sundays, bring the grandkids, tell me the latest from work. Then came the quick phone calls. Then the silence. But you get used to the sound of abandonment. Comes subtly, like a breeze sneaking through a crack and slowly cooling the house without you noticing. That morning, the sun was shy. I had just finished my coffee with bread and jam, blackberry jam, her favorite when she was a little girl. That's when I heard the gate open. My heart leapt, as if it was still possible to turn back time. She walked in smiling, but there was something about her smile that gave me chills. Something stiff, rehearsed. Empty. "Let's go for a little ride, Mom," she said, taking my hands with too much gentleness. When someone who's always been careless with you starts being delicate, be suspicious. I was surprised. She hadn't invited me out for even a coffee in months. I agreed, of course. A mother's heart is foolish, and mine still hoped for a reunion to heal the distance. I put on my gray coat, the one Jorge always said made me look elegant, grabbed my purse and left. In the car, the radio played softly. She said nothing. Just drove, gripping the steering wheel like she was holding a heavy secret. I tried to make conversation. "And the boys, how are they?" I asked. "They're fine, Mom. At school." "Growing too fast," she replied without looking at me. Silence returned. Took a while to realize we were heading out of town. The neighborhood disappeared behind us, the buildings too. I started to get uneasy. "Where are we going, dear?" I insisted. "It's a nice place, Mom. You'll be safe. You'll have everything you need," she said, still not looking at me. That's when I saw the gate. Hope Residence. A modern building, well-kept garden, everything seemingly perfect. But what looked nice on the outside hid what hurt inside. It was a nursing home. My daughter parked the car, turned off the engine, and took a deep breath. Only then did she really look me in the eyes. "Mom, we need to talk." She explained everything like she was handling a logistical issue. Said my safety was a priority. That I needed constant care. That I couldn't live alone anymore, that the house was getting dangerous. That I had to understand. But I understood more than she imagined. I understood that she didn't want to deal with me anymore. That my late-night calls when I felt lonely were a burden. That my stories, my recipes, my advice no longer fit into her rushed routine. She handed me over to a receptionist in a white lab coat, who smiled like someone receiving a burden. "You'll adapt quickly, Mrs. Lucia. This place is wonderful." I signed papers I didn't read. I felt like a child abandoned at the gates of a boarding school. Gave my daughter one last look. She seemed relieved. Gave me a kiss on the forehead, mechanical, and left. Didn't even turn back. The gate shut behind her with a harsh metallic click. And with it, something inside me broke too. The first days at the home were a blur of cold routines and plastic smiles. Doctors, schedules, pills, nurses calling us dear like it was code for useless. There were other elderly women there, each with their story, all trying to mask the pain of being cast aside. That night, I cried in silence. Not because of loneliness, that had been my old companion. Cried because of betrayal. Because my daughter didn't have the courage to tell me to my face what she felt, that I was a burden, an inconvenience, an outdated object. I who stayed up countless nights for her. I who sold jewelry to pay for her college. I who buried my husband and still had the strength to smile just so she could have a steady home. One of those nights, I found an old letter in my purse. Folded, a bit yellowed. It was from Jorge. He had written it shortly before he passed. "If one day she forgets who you are, remind her who you can be. You've always been the strongest woman I've ever known, Lucia. Never doubt that." I read that letter over and over like it was a map out of a maze. and something sparked inside me. A small flame, but alive. I still existed. I still had my name, my story, and what she had no idea about, my will. I remembered the lawyer. Conversation Jorge and I had years ago. He convinced me to keep the family house in my name, even after we transferred the deed to our daughter. There was a hidden clause, discreet but powerful. A clause that said, in case of abandonment or disrespect, the property reverts to the matriarch. The next day I asked the nurse for a phone. She found it odd but allowed it. Called Dr. Alvaro. "Mrs. Lucia? I've been expecting this call for years," he said, as if he already knew what had happened. We arranged for me to visit his office the following week. I told him I needed to resolve an inheritance matter. But deep down it was more than that. It was a matter of justice, of dignity, of memory. My daughter forgot me, but I remembered very well who I was. And now she was going to remember too. Things change when we change on the inside. After that phone call with Dr. Alvaro, my heart was no longer the same. The hurt was still there, of course, but now there was something new too, power. Yes, power. Not the kind that comes from giving orders or flashing money, but the quiet power of someone who has reclaimed their dignity. Power to lift your head, even after being thrown to the ground like a crumpled piece of paper. A week later, they allowed me to go out with a companion. Dr. Alvaro sent a driver to pick me up. I arrived at his office wearing a navy blue dress, low heels, and the pearl necklace Jorge gave me on our last anniversary together. Not to impress anyone, but because I needed to remind myself of who I was. He greeted me with a wide smile. "Mrs. Lucia, what a pleasure to see you." "The pleasure is mine, doctor." "Shall we get to the point?" We sat down. He pulled from a folder the documents we had prepared years ago. The time Jorge had insisted I keep a safeguard. I thought he was overreacting. "Our daughter would never do this to you," I used to say. But Jorge, he saw what I refused to. "The clause is right here, exactly as we left it. Your daughter's house remains in your name until your passing. In case of abandonment, disrespect, or forced institutionalization, the property fully reverts to your ownership. No court order required." I signed it firmly. No shaking, no hesitation. In that moment, something inside me rebuilt itself. As if every piece of my story that had been torn away by neglect was finally being put back into place. It was more than a house. It was my life being returned to me. "I'll send the formal notification to your daughter's address today. Would you like to deliver it in person?" I smiled. "Oh yes. With all the motherly affection I have left." 2 days later, the gate of the house I had lived in for over 30 years opened before me once again. The same house where I saw my daughter take her first steps. Where Jorge painted the walls light blue to welcome the baby. Where I planted rose bushes in the yard, and where we buried the family dog with tears and hugs. I rang the doorbell. Carla opened the door. She was in sweatpants, barefoot, her hair hastily tied up. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "Mom? What are you doing here?" "I came to visit my house, dear," I said and held out the envelope. She took the paper, opened it, and then her face slowly drained of color like a balloon deflating. Her eyes scanned line after line and her breathing quickened. This is a joke, right?" "No, Carla. This is justice. It's all here, notarized and validated by the proper authorities. The house is now officially mine. You have 30 days to move out. But if you'd like to leave earlier, I won't mind." She went silent. Her silence was louder than any scream. "You're kicking me out?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "No, Carla. I'm simply giving back to you the experience you gave me. Only this time without the iron gates and white coats. Just paperwork and dignity." She started crying. Cry without words, without strength. Like her soul was collapsing. Part of me wanted to run and hold her. But another part, the one that learned the hard way what it's like to be discarded, stood firm. If you'd like to talk, I'll be around. On the porch. The same place where you left me without even saying goodbye. I turned and walked into the house. Felt like I had traveled back in time, but with a new body, a new soul. Every corner of that house greeted me. Every object, every scent was part of me. In the weeks that followed, Carla moved out. Took only a few things. She sent me a short message saying she needed time. I understood. Sometimes shame is a coat too heavy to take off all at once. I didn't hold on to bitterness. Bitterness is a prison. I wanted freedom. I wanted my chair on the porch, my afternoon tea, my radio playing old boleros. I wanted to live what I had left of life with lightness. Now I sit every day in the same spot. The armchair Jorge built. The yard where my grandchildren used to run. The gate is open, just like it always should have been. Carla hasn't returned. But one day she will. And when she does, she'll find a mother who is whole. Not bitter. Not vengeful. Just whole. 'Cause she may have forgotten me for a while. But I never forgot who I was. And now the world remembers too. I've still got game. And I'll play it to the last move with elegance.